Welcome to Guerilla Sports Off Court. I am Liv Moods, and this is presented by Trusted American Mortgage. Trusted American salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get into a better interest rate and lower your monthly payments. So head to trustedamerican.com to see how they can help you save some money today.
Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome in, everybody. It is Denver Nuggets game day. They are on the road taking on the Chicago Bulls. We saw them fall very short to the Minnesota Timberwolves in their first road game of this 5-game road stretch. This is their second road game against the Chicago Bulls. Hopefully, they're going to be looking a little bit better than the last time we saw them play basketball. Last game, kind of a hot mess express. All of the things I felt like we've been excited about with this Denver Nuggets team, they kind of got exposed a little bit. Their weaknesses were exposed and on full display, but I will say I think a lot of that is credit to the Timberwolves. They play the Denver Nuggets exceptionally well. They have a size advantage. They're very athletic. They can shoot the three ball very well. And I knew that if the Nuggets didn't go into that game firing off on all cylinders and super, super prepared and playing with urgency, they weren't going to win that game. And that's exactly what happened. They did not win. They were not playing with urgency, and hopefully we see some of that urgency tonight. I want to start by talking about something a little bit more fun. It appears that it may be Serbian Heritage Group Night in Chicago for this game. We know Nikola Jokic not only has a lot of American fans, but Serbian fans. He might who knows? If you're a basketball fan and you're from Serbia, I would imagine you're probably looking at this guy like he is, maybe the second coming of Jesus. He's fantastic. He is unlike anything we've ever seen. He's a unicorn. So I'll be very interested. I know that Chicago can be a very diverse place. This might feel like a home game for the Denver Nuggets tonight, given that it is Serbian Heritage Night. And we know the Serbian god himself, Nikola Jokic, will be on the road facing on the Chicago Bulls. So I'll be very excited to see what that looks like for the Denver Nuggets. There may be a lot of Nuggets fans there. They're probably mostly Jokic fans, but hopefully they'll be wearing Nuggets jerseys, so it will feel like a home game for this Denver Nuggets team. We know they won't have the same home game advantage as they do in Denver with the altitude that causes a lot of problems for a lot of teams, but still hopefully a lot of Nuggets fans showing up tonight for Denver. Nikola Jokic against the Chicago Bulls has averaged 17.8 points, 10.3 rebounds, and 7.7 assists, in 15 games versus the Bulls in his career. We only saw 3 rebounds from Nikola Jokic last game. We actually saw more turnovers than rebounds from Nikola Jokic against the Timberwolves. I'm hoping we see a much better defensive performance by not just Nikola Jokic, but the entire team as a whole, as well as offensively. We had a pretty good game from Jamal Murray, and that felt like that was about it. It really just did not feel like this Nuggets team was super prepared against the Timberwolves. Hopefully, we feel a little bit better watching them tonight against the Chicago Bulls. I want to talk a little bit, though, about maybe the storyline in this game. As we know, the deadline is approaching for trades in the NBA. And one of the main conversations that has been had has been Michael Porter Jr. for Zach LaVine. We are going to get a chance to see Michael Porter Jr. and Zach LaVine. I want to double check and make sure that there's no injuries that I don't know about so that I can not be misspeaking on this. But it looks like tonight for the game, the only notable injuries that we've got, Torrey Craig out for the Bulls, Kobe White out for the Bulls. And as for the Denver Nuggets, it's the same that we've seen for quite a few weeks and months now. Vlatko, Spencer, and Deron Holmes all out. So it looks like we will see MPJ and Zach LaVine going head-to-head tonight. And this has been where a lot of the trade rumors have been kind of circulating the most. We obviously saw some conversations about Brandon Ingram. There were, I think, a lot of Nuggets fans that kind of created their own trade rumors based on things that they thought the Nuggets needed. But the main trade rumor has stemmed from Zach LaVine and MPJ. Now, the conversation that I want to have with you today, besides the fact that I'm just excited to see what MPJ is able to do, MPJ has this season, he did not look good last game against the Timberwolves. So to me, there's a little bit of an aspect here of maybe like getting his get back, like feeling like, ooh, that was not my best performance. So let me find a way to redeem myself. Maybe this is a redemption game for Michael Porter Jr., but also he is going to be facing off with the player that was a strong contender to be a Denver Nugget in place of Michael Porter Jr. So I'm hoping he takes advantage of this to kind of silence these trade rumors once and for all. I don't think it's a good idea to give up MPJ. I understand that Michael Porter Jr. is your last tradable piece because of the money that we gave up for Jamal Murray to sign an extension. I understand that. Jamal Murray's on a max contract. You also brought back Aaron Gordon, two valuable pieces to this offense. When Jamal Murray shows up and wants to be important, he really can be, and we know that, and that's why it's hard to get rid of somebody like that. However, Michael Porter Jr. to me has been finding his rhythm and his groove offensively, and I just don't think you're going to, unless who you're trading for Michael Porter Jr. is as good of a shooter and has the size that Michael Porter Jr. has, it's not worth the trade to me. It's really not. I understand that the bench probably needs a little bit more depth, and you need a center up coming up behind Nikola Jokic to kind of alleviate some of the pressure and the minutes that he's playing. But when it comes to Michael Porter Jr. being your last tradable piece, it's not worth it to me to make a trade unless you're getting a shooter with the same size. And I just don't think you're going to get that. When I was taking a look at the numbers in comparing Zach LaVine and Michael Porter Jr., Michael Porter Jr. to me is still a better fit for the Denver Nuggets than Zach LaVine is. You're looking at NBA regular season stats. Zach LaVine does outscore Michael Porter Jr. Zach LaVine does outscore Michael Porter Jr. He's averaging about 20.7, and Michael Porter Jr. is averaging about 16. When you look at rebounds, again, that size, Michael Porter Jr. is out-rebounding Zach LaVine statistically in the regular season. Assists, Zach LaVine is assisting more than Michael Porter Jr., but when you've got a Russell Westbrook, a Nikola Jokic, and a Jamal Murray, you don't really need to be facilitating the offense. The Denver Nuggets right now are the best assisting team in the NBA. They're the best passing team in the NBA, so you don't really need that from Michael Porter Jr. Steals per game, they're pretty even there. So yeah, unless blocks, 0.3, MPJ's averaging 0.3 more blocks per game than Zach LaVine. So I think because of the size that MPJ has, to me, that is why I never found any type of appeal with the conversations involving Zach LaVine, because I just don't know if that's an upgrade. I'm not saying that he wouldn't be great for the Denver Nuggets. In another world, maybe. But I am hoping once and for all, after this game tonight, we can see a strong enough performance by MPJ and the rest of the team, because I think at the end of the day, I say the word scapegoat, and unfortunately there is a business behind the NBA, and it's not just about watching your favorite players on your favorite team. There is a business aspect to this as well, and I understand that. MPJ really is your only option if you're trying to add depth to this Denver Nuggets team. However, like I said, unless it's an upgrade, it's just not worth it to me. Michael Porter Jr. to me is still making a positive impact despite last game against the Timberwolves, which I felt like was not his best performance. He has been pretty great for this Nuggets team, and he's also a part of a championship team, and Zach LaVine is not. I think there are aspects to Zach LaVine's game that could be beneficial to the Denver Nuggets, but when you've got a Michael Porter Jr. who has played in 5 less seasons than Zach LaVine in the NBA, but has been in the playoffs 3 more times. Playoff experience matters, and winning a championship also matters. Michael Porter Jr. has been on a team that has gone all the way and won it all, and I think that's very important. So I never really entertained the trade conversations or rumors around Michael Porter Jr. for Zach LaVine, but it will be kind of cool to see them go head-to-head, and I'm kind of hoping, because he had a pretty bad game against the Timberwolves, and he's going head-to-head against the guy that was, a part of all of those trade rumors surrounding Michael Porter Jr., that we see a really great performance by MPJ tonight. His numbers in 5 games versus Zach LaVine. Okay, did a little research here. In 5 games versus Zach LaVine in his career, Michael Porter Jr. has averaged 21.2 points, 6.6 rebounds, and 1.4 assists. So be willing to sprinkle on some Michael Porter Jr. props tonight. I'm going to go ahead and open up the FanDuel Sportsbook app now and take a look at where his lines are sitting, because I would be willing to do a little bit of sprinkling on Michael Porter Jr., just giving the storyline tonight, given his poor performance last game, and given the fact that he has some pretty great averages in those 5 games versus Zach LaVine in his career. So his line tonight for points is looking like, let's see, what are they thinking he's going to do tonight? Well, if you wanted to take him for 20 plus, like I said, he's averaging that 21.2 points in those 5 games in his career versus Zach LaVine. When you're looking at that, the 20 points, if you wanted to bet 20 plus for Michael Porter Jr., that's plus 190. I'm willing to sprinkle on it. I think this is a bounce back spot for him. There's a little bit of that revenge aspect with all the trade rumor conversations. 20 points for him. I am not mad at it. If you wanted to look at rebounds and look at 6 plus, because he does average 6.6 rebounds versus Zach LaVine in his career. If you wanted to look at rebounds, 6 plus for him is minus 125. And if you wanted to look at assists, which I actually don't think I would. I just think this is, given the way that this Nuggets offense is running, I wouldn't put my money on MPJ with the over on his assists. I would look at points, I would look at rebounds, and I would maybe look at threes as well. I'm going to take a look right now and see what his threes are. Let's go 3 threes. For 3 threes for Michael Porter Jr., it's plus 100. Zach LaVine is minus 135. I'm not saying that Michael Porter Jr. is going to have more points than Zach LaVine in this game, but I think if he can just play hard enough, I will be feeling pretty good about that. The difference between the Bulls and the Denver Nuggets is Zach LaVine's role, in my opinion, has to be much more dominant on his team versus MPJ's on his team, because the Bulls need Zach LaVine. They need Zach LaVine to have 3 plus threes, 4 plus threes. That's required of him in order for this Bulls team to remain competitive. Michael Porter Jr. can have a game where he has only 15 points because you've got a Nikola Jokic, you've got an Aaron Gordon, you've got a Jamal Murray, you've got a Russell Westbrook, you've got Strother, who's been lighting it up from the 3-point line. You've got Christian Brown. I mean, there's a lot of exceptional talent on this Nuggets team that allows the Denver Nuggets to, as individual players, have nights where they're a little off or they're prioritizing defense over offense. You're able to have that. With Zach LaVine, he kind of has to be that guy at all times. Otherwise, the Bulls are not looking super competitive. So for threes, if you wanted to take 3 plus threes for MPJ, that is plus 100. So if, just playing a little game here, if I took 3 plus threes for Michael Porter Jr., and then I took 20 plus points for Michael Porter Jr., and then I also took 6 plus rebounds for Michael Porter Jr., and I stuck that in a little parlay, that's looking at plus 361. Michael Porter Jr., 3 plus threes. Michael Porter Jr., 20 plus points. Michael Porter Jr., 6 plus rebounds for plus 361 in the FanDuel Sportsbook app. A little same game parlay that I cooked up right here on this very show. I like it. I just read you his averages if you want to hear them again. Versus Zach LaVine in his career, 5 games played, Michael Porter Jr. has averaged 21.2 points, 6.6 rebounds, and 1.4 assists. Now, I'm not taking assists because between Russell Westbrook, Jamal Murray, and Nikola Jokic, I think they've got that covered. But I will take Michael Porter Jr., 3 plus threes, Michael Porter Jr., 20 plus points, and Michael Porter Jr., 6 plus rebounds in a same game parlay for plus 361. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. I think this is a very, very great bounce back spot for this Denver Nuggets team. Now, that being said, please don't take that and run with it. I understand the Denver Nuggets are on the road and they are favored by minus 9.5. But if you've watched the Denver Nuggets at all, and if you haven't, here's the information I'm going to give you. Covering the spread is not something that I don't really hardly ever feel comfortable laying the points with the Denver Nuggets. They are a much better team than the Chicago Bulls. Yes, they are, by far. And I do think this is a great bounce back spot. I would imagine since they played the Timberwolves, Coach Malone has made it very abundantly clear all of the many things that they did wrong and what he will not allow them to do again tonight. it was kind of a hot mess express, honestly, watching them play against the Timberwolves. So I can't foresee that happening again. I think they're going to look a lot cleaner. They were playing very sloppy basketball against the Timberwolves. I don't think the same thing is going to happen tonight. We cannot have Nikola Jokic and Russell Westbrook, who are one of the duos in the NBA with the highest plus minus. We cannot allow them to have 11 turnovers in a game. When you lose the turnover battle, it's really hard to win a game. And 11 turnovers between the two of them, the two that are facilitating the offense, is not going to win you games. It's just not. It's not going to work. It's a recipe for disaster, to be completely honest with you. So the turnovers have to tighten up. And if you wanted to actually look at the player prop market and look at those turnovers, let's see here. We've got some steals props. I don't even know if you can. I don't know where I would even find turnover props. But I would be pretty willing to bet that the turnovers will be a lot more tidy. There's going to be a lot less of them in this game because I think the Nuggets know that when they turn the ball over that much, it feels pretty impossible to win. So we can't allow Nikola Jokic and Russell Westbrook to turn the ball over that much. We need to see a lot more defensive hustle from the entire team, but honestly, especially Jokic. I felt like Jokic was just playing a little bit he was just kind of bebopping back on defense and was not really playing with aggression at all. I mean, 3 rebounds for him just doesn't even seem like a correct stat line for him. And I just felt like he was getting eaten alive by the Timberwolves, and we just can't allow that. So I feel optimistic that the Denver Nuggets will win this game tonight. However, I don't feel optimistic in laying the points with the Denver Nuggets. I really, really don't. So as much as I love this team and as much as I think this team will bounce back and will be in a much better spot tonight than they were against the Timberwolves, I am not feeling overly confident in their ability to cover a 9.5-point spread, given the fact that they are just not a super solid team. When they're favored. I'm actually going to look that up. NBA teams against the spread. If you're a sports bettor and you are trying to figure out, do I lay the points? Do I take the underdog here? What should I do? Let's go ahead and look. I'm also going to look at what their against the spread record is as a favorite. And we can actually get those numbers for you right now. When Denver is a favorite, they are 16-16-1 against the spread. Now, that's actually not bad. They're covering about 50% of the time when they are a favorite. Now let's look at a favorite on the road. Let's see what those numbers are. Okay, starts to get a little worse. 7-9. They're covering 43.8% of the time when they are a favorite on the road. Now, let's look at the Bulls side of things. As an underdog, Chicago 15-16-1, not super great. They are covering 48.4% of the time when they are an underdog. When they are a home underdog, they are 7-7-1. They're covering 50% of the time. So because 9.5 feels like a lot of points, that is why I would probably lean towards not laying the points with Denver and just taking them on the money line and probably sticking it in my little Michael Porter Jr. same game parlay that I created because I don't feel comfortable just taking 9.5 with the Nuggets. You guys know, if you've watched the Denver Nuggets, they'll probably go into halftime with a lead because I would imagine they're going to play with a lot more urgency tonight, given how the Timberwolves game ended. So I think they're going to probably win the first half. So you could probably bet on first half money line for the Denver Nuggets and get a little bit of better value. But we also know if they play well in the first half, they typically start to fall apart in the third quarter. Now, if they don't play well in the first half, third quarter is typically where they turn things around. So third quarter for them is kind of their X factor. That's kind of where they set the tone, in my opinion, for how the game is going to end. Hopefully, this is a team that is fully prepared to not take their foot off the gas at any point because they just can't afford to. The month of January, I've stressed how important it is for this Nuggets team to get some wins. They have been getting wins. Before the Timberwolves game, they had won 12 of their last 15. They were looking great. They were on a heater. I am not willing to completely ignore how great they've been playing because of one game against the Timberwolves, because we know over the last few seasons, the Timberwolves have matched up very well against Denver. So I'm not willing to just abandon all of the excitement that I have felt for the Nuggets as of late. However, If in this 5-game road stretch, if they even lose 3 of these 5, I think that's cause for concern. The Bulls, it's a very winnable game. They have a very tough game coming up on Wednesday against the New York Knicks. That is not one that they should take lightly or skim past or not have urgency over. We saw what happened earlier in the season when they played the New York Knicks, and they were at home. And it did not end well for them. It was really not a great game at all. Probably my least favorite Nuggets game all season long. So we want to avoid that at all costs. You don't want to see that happen again. So there's going to be quite a few games in this 5-game road stretch. I'm actually going to look really quick. I know they play Chicago tonight. I know that they play the Knicks on Wednesday. They play the 76ers on the road on Friday. And even without Joel Embiid, I think if you lose to a Joel Embiid-less 76ers team, that is also cause for concern. So we cannot let that happen. And then they play on the road against the Hornets. Okay. And Charlotte is one of those teams that they've got a lot of star power. They've got a lot of talent. If you're not careful, the game could get away from you, especially perimeter defense is what I would encourage this Nuggets team to focus on. So again, all of these feel like winnable games. The most concerning to me, probably the Knicks playing in MSG is not easy. It's really, really not. And so they already have a challenge just looking at where they're playing, but who they're playing. The Knicks, they're finding some of their momentum and rhythm. They're looking like a solid team in the East if they can continue down this path. They're looking like they've got some potential there to maybe be a contender. I know that feels like the Boston Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers are kind of at the top of the Eastern Conference, and it's theirs until somebody takes it away. But the Knicks acquired Karl Anthony Towns, and we know he can cause some disruptions for Nikola Jokic. He can cause some problems for the Denver Nuggets. So I think the Nuggets need to be very prepared going into that New York Knicks game. And I think the best way for them to be prepared on Wednesday is to get a dominant and convincing win tonight against a very beatable Bulls team. So a lot to me, not really a lot riding on this game, but kind of in the sense that I want them to get their momentum back. I want them to find their rhythm again so that they're able to compete on Wednesday against the Knicks, on Friday against the 76ers, and then again in Charlotte against the Hornets before they bring it back home and face the Pelicans twice in a row. This is a really important time of the year. We're starting to get really close to that All-Star break. And after the All-Star break, we know teams typically put their foot on the gas, start to really pick things up, start to really get a little bit more focused. And I know it can feel frustrating as a fan to think that they're maybe not giving full effort right now, but they will in a couple of weeks. Like, why aren't you just giving full effort right now? It sometimes does irritate me, but we do know a lot of teams have that mindset because of how long this season is. They understand that it is a long season. And after that All-Star break, that is a really great time to just activate another level of your effort, your energy, your excitement, your skill. And I think every team is going to be doing that following the All-Star break. So before the All-Star break, while this Nuggets team is still forming good habits, it's important that they get as many wins as possible in order for them to create those good habits and then have those habits established by the time other teams are putting their foot on the gas a little bit more and ramping things up following the All-Star break. So tonight against the Chicago Bulls, the Denver Nuggets are a 9.5-point favorite. And we're going to have the battle of the trade rumors. MPJ, Zach LaVine. MPJ and the Nuggets team as a whole really kind of struggled against the Timberwolves. It was not a good game. A lot of the, deficiencies of this Nuggets team were exposed against the Timberwolves. Michael Porter Jr. did not have a good game, but Michael Porter Jr. versus Zach LaVine in his career, averaging 21.2 points, 6.6 rebounds. I'm taking the over on his threes, his points, and his rebounds. This feels like a great bounce back spot, not only for Michael Porter Jr., but for the Nuggets as a whole. They're going to need all the momentum they can get before they take on the Knicks in New York. It is so tough to play in New York, and they're taking on the Knicks on Wednesday. They've got a 5-game road stretch here. This will be their second game into that 5-game road stretch, so it is so important that they get as many wins as possible and bring those wins back home to continue building good habits so that they can then use those good habits when all of these teams start to really fire things up following the All-Star break. So that is my hope for the Denver Nuggets. I'm not sure I like laying the points with them tonight, but I do like them to win. So, Denver, don't fail me. Don't hurt my feelings. Don't make me upset. I am begging, pleading, and crying for you to not hurt my feelings tonight. We will have a post-game live show following tonight's Nuggets game. I will be live from my home studio talking to you guys about hopefully nothing but positive, joyous things. But if we have to get in critique mode, we absolutely will. If we need to vent and get some things off our chest, we absolutely presented by Trusted American Mortgage. Head to trustedamerican.com, or if you're watching, scan the QR code right here to figure out how they can help you save some money by lowering your monthly payment or getting you a better interest rate. I'm Liv Moods, signing off for now. We'll catch you for a post-game live show following the Nuggets on the road taking on the Chicago Bulls. We'll see you tonight.